Hello guys, and welcome to the first video on the channel. So this first video is going to be a little bit different than the kind of videos that I intend to post. From this point onwards, this is just a quick little world tour just to show a few builds that I've already built on this world. So starting off here, this is a build I call the Witchwood Festival. So as you can see, we have a little ogre's stall down there. We have some Chinese lanterns floating through the sky. And we also have the Merchants NPC House over here, which is this sort of mystical gypsy wagon type thing. I would say my main sort of motivation in building this, the main factor was I wanted to sort of merge like to the sort of ambience of Witchwood in Fable, which is an area in that game, and sort of combine it with the night market from Stardew Valley, which is like very mystical, very magical. Sort of just fuse those two elements together, and this is what I came up with. So this there is the portal to the underworld, and it itself is themed after a Fable colorscape. Over here we have the NPC house for the zoologist. The idea is she turns into her werewolf form and, you know, performs tricks or something, because it is supposed to be like sort of a travelling carnival circus type thing, and I imagine her as some sort of performer. And over here next to that is the transportation crystal. I've actually forgotten what those are called. It has been quite a while since I've played Terraria now. Over here is the guide's tent, which is his NPC house. Again, just sort of going for the mystical carnival theme with the stripes and the sort of mystical design. And of course there's these lanterns hung across the trees just to give the place a little bit of atmosphere. Next to the guide's tent is the fortune teller's stall. Again, just continuing the themes. And of course there are, you know, trees in the background as well, just to, again, emulate the Fable Witchwood area and just give it the same sort of vibe. But yeah, it has been quite a while since I last played Terraria, so that's why I can't remember the name of those damn teleportation. What are they called? No idea. Anyway, we'll use one now. We'll travel over to the desert and see what I've got over here. So here we are, arriving at the Trader's NPC house with giant candles on his roof. Again, with this one, I just wanted to go with something that was relatively unique, something that I've not really seen done before. Over here is like the dye vats where he actually dyes his fabrics and so on. But yeah, the main inspiration for this was just how do I make a colourful desert build that hasn't really been done before for the dye trader, and I think I kind of achieved it with this here. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm a massive fan in general in terms of desert builds, just because you can go kind of crazy with the colours. And this is another example over here. So this is the Mage's Palace. And again, it's sort of themed after a Middle Eastern type palace. And with the colour palette, again, I've just gone absolutely crazy. You can see there's quite a lot going on here. A lot of purples, a lot of gem tones, a lot of glow spark gold, that sort of stuff. Just to give the place a little bit of grandeur. But yeah, this was originally supposed to be my base on this world for the mage type character that I was going to create on this, but I never got around to doing that. But yeah, I just think I'll give you the 360 view so you can see at the top the sort of domes, which is sort of common in like Middle Eastern desert themed palaces. And over here to the left is a cave that I think was very obviously inspired by the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. And like that cave from Aladdin, if you go inside it, which I'll do now, there is a cave underneath that is full of treasures and riches. And you can see down there as well in the little bookcase, it does have the genie's lamp as well. Yeah, again, this was supposed to be the storage area for my character in this world, but it didn't end up being big enough, so I just thought I'd turn it into a decorative piece, really. So moving on, back up the steps. And I'm not sure where we're going next. I did record the audio and the video of this separately, so there may be some instances where I don't really know where I'm going, or silences and so on. I think could be Hello. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Hollow. we'll see. Yep. So here we are. This is the Tavern Keeps NPC House, and the party girl is sort of bunking there as well. Thought I'd just cut to the day, so this build sort of looks a lot better in the day. This was my first giant tree type build. I've always found trees and things really hard to do just because of the natural shapes. It's really hard to get it looking right. Compared to buildings that are all straight lines and edges, are a lot more simple. But yeah, the idea here is the sort of the enchanted night crawlers within the roots of this tree sort of give it magical properties, and the Tavern Keep is actually attached to this giant keg into the side of the tree and is draining it of its mystical sap, which I imagine he uses to brew some sort of ale or some sort of incredibly alcoholic beverage. Just thought I'd give you the long view here. So this is see the apples in the tree, things like that. And of course in the middle we've got a fairy in a bottle painted black, just to give it a little bit of movement. I'm not really a fan of like making really static builds. I always try and put something in there that moves, just so it feels a lot more alive. But yeah, in general, really happy with how this turned out. I think this was my first Hallow build as well, and I've always found the Hallow sort of difficult to sort of theory craft what I would build there, because it has to be sort of this enchanted fairy-like theme. But yeah, really happy with this. I think we'll travel now next door, which is to what I called Hoarfrost Scrapyard. So this will be the NPC house for the cyborg, the goblin tinkerer, and the mechanic. And here we are. So as you can see there, a little bit of a crane with a... God, what are those things called? Never mind. Well, here's the Goblin's NPC house. As you can see, it's sort of a cave built of scrap with a giant robotic dragon skull over the top. For whatever reason, he loves to stand and just face that wall all day. You do you, I guess. But yeah, the inspiration for this at first was that I just wanted a giant scrapyard. I wanted a messy build that just had a lot going on in it. And then partway through building it, I began to get sort of inspired by like areas like the Trash Coast in Borderlands in the first one. That's when I added the tyres and the sort of smouldering stuff within all the scrap. But yeah, as you can see, the Queen mechanic is there at the top of a scrap heap. And down here to the left is this sort of junk robot, which serves as the NPC house for the android, isn't it? Cyborg, yeah, for the cyborg. This is valid NPC housing as well. You can just jump down here and just let yourself in. I've not actually unlocked him yet on this world, so that's why he's not in there at the moment. But when I do, he will be getting put straight there. So I think next we should move on and have a look at the beach. I do think that's where we're going next. God, what are those things called? Here we are. So just pretend those box houses do not exist. They are just merely a figment of your imagination. And to the left we have the stylist's salon, built inside a giant shell, just because I wanted to make it beach themed, and because I know the stylist likes the beach. So I thought, what better way than to actually build the salon inside a giant shell. These little machines here are supposed to be sort of reminiscent of those like giant hairdryers that used to be in salons back in the 80s. Well, I think slightly after the 80s, like in the early 2000s. I'm not sure if they were real, but I do have some childhood memories of just giant hairdryer machines and like old ladies with all stuff in their hair. Maybe I dreamt it up, maybe they weren't real, but yeah, I think they suit the build regardless. And there's that giant scissor sound as well, because the stylist is a marketing genius. Over here to the right, we will have probably one of my favourite builds when I did build it at the time. I was incredibly proud of this. As you can see, it's a steampunk piranha, which serves as the steampunker's NPC house. This one took me quite a while actually. I think it took around two days. Just all the detailing on it was quite arduous. Certain things were easy, like the eyes, the jaws, that came quite naturally, but I think I rebuilt like the fins about 10 times each just to make them look right. And of course doing the interior, trying to squash like a functioning sort of engine thing inside there. It's a very small area, so that was kind of difficult as well. But I think in the end, it all came together, and I'm very happy with this. I think next we'll be going to the graveyard. I'm just gonna casually walk across the ocean like you do, and I think there'll be a cut anytime now. Boom, there we go. So this build, simple. I just needed some echo blocks, so I thought, you know, I'm gonna build a graveyard, but I'm not gonna half-ass it. I'm not gonna just whack some gravestones down. So we have this crypt-like building in the middle of this graveyard with this sort of angelic shrine, and we have the flesh bathtub there, sort of acting as a coffin, and the green braziers, no idea how you say that, and of course the dead sort of leafless trees. This build does look a lot better at night, but just to save me like waiting like 20 minutes, I think you get a general idea of what I was going for here. So I think next we will pop down to the jungle and have a look at the Dryad's house and the witch doctors. I'll whip out the mirror now, and boom, here we are. So yeah, the theme of this was I wanted a giant rotting tree trunk sort of in the middle of this lake with fungi, mushrooms sort of grown out of it. The main reason was because a lot of NPC house builds I saw for the Dryad were mainly all the same. They were all like really leafy, really green, which of course suits her, but I wanted something a little different. That there is supposed to be a giant lotus flower, but I think it doesn't quite look like one. I think it's a little bit too dark, but unfortunately it has to be, just because it has to be actuated just so I can actually walk past it. But yeah, moving on, we have the thing that I can't remember its name there. That's going to really bug me. We have the tiki heads going over the bridge to the witch doctor's hut. And as you can see, the main inspiration was I wanted him to basically live inside a giant dinosaur skull. And I sort of built the idea up from that. I also really wanted to use that leopard skin in a build for quite a while, but I've just not had the chance, so I thought, perfect to stick it in here. I mean, he does seem like the sort of guy that would just have a random leopard skin on a post outside his house. So that worked out well, and you can see there's like a little balcony there, sort of overlooking the rest of the jungle. But yeah, this was one of the earlier builds I did, and I was really happy with this. It is a little bit more simple than some other things, but for what it is, I think I really enjoy it. I think we may have actually missed somewhere out. Yeah, I don't think we visited the arms dealer's NPC house, which was back in the desert. So I think we'll pop over there now. So with his house, I was sort of, I found it really difficult to sort of come up with a unique idea. I thought of a few things, but here's what I went with. So I went with a sort of shooting range in this sort of tropical oasis, as you can see with the palm trees, and the giant gun sign, the giant target sign. The actual building itself, with like the tin mixed in with the wood, I think looks really good. It looks like a smuggler's den, perhaps sort of money laundering. He sort of runs this shop, but on the side he sells illegal weapons. And you can see over the side here the giant, supposed to be a goat skull. I think it does kind of look like one. I think I did alright on that, with a giant palm tree growing out of that as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I've built so far on this world. The next videos that come out will be slightly different. They'll be either speed builds or tutorials or time lapses or just some sort of build. I just thought for my first video I'd just pop this on there. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I will be back soon with my next build, which I hope to be the NPC house for the clothier. It's coming along nicely so far, although it is the last, the first build that I've done in quite a while now. So hopefully it's up to par as my old ones. We'll see.